Right.
All right, so what a session. I hope you all enjoyed this session. And thank you so much, Sayed, for that, for sharing the knowledge. It really helps people who would like to create content in WordPress. So let me introduce Sayed to you. So Sayed is a senior WordPress engineer in a WordPress agency called Camp in Pune. He has deep love for JavaScript and likes to work on technologies around it. And since Gutenberg is created in JavaScript, it is one of the favorite areas in WordPress. He's also a WordPress core contributor and was a rock star contributor in WordPress version 4.9. So, Sayed, first question that comes for you from Pavas Mathur is that with so many changes coming to Gutenberg, do you think performance is taken into consideration with so many releases? And
Mm.
is it going to affect my site's performance?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, performance is taken care of, and it's taken into consideration very seriously with every release. And they do some automated tests to know the performance metrics during the development of the block editor. So with every release, you would see a release note where you would see some numbers, and by looking at those numbers, you can tell that the performance is getting better most of the time. I mean, not every time, but most of the time, it's getting better with the previous release. Uh, but if you are concerned about the front end performance, I think you shouldn't be, worried too much because whatever new features they add, they do that in the block editor, which is part of backend. So uh, it doesn't affect the front end performance much because blocks actually generate HTML markup and there are some CSS to add a styling to those on the front end. So the front end is very lightweight. Uh, the features added in the backend doesn't do much for the backend. It just generates the markup for it. So you shouldn't be worried about the performance of the front end, but yes, for the backend, meaning the editor, the performance is taken care of seriously.
Great. Thank you very much, Sayed, for that answer. Okay, so this is the next question. How do shortcodes work in Gutenberg?
Yeah, so we have a dedicated block for adding shortcode in Gutenberg, and its name is shortcode block. So you can insert your shortcode in it, and it will work as before. But just so you know, WordPress doesn't encourage developers to create more shortcodes because it's not intuitive, and you know, uh, you need to know the attributes of the shortcode, and you don't see how it's going to look on the front end. You just see the shortcode name and some attributes. So WordPress wants to simplify things and make things easier for the WordPress users. So, for example, when you're new to WordPress, you have to learn few concepts, like you need to learn the concept of widgets, shortcodes, meta boxes. So now WordPress only wants you to learn one concept, which is the uh, concept of block, and you might already know that already. For example, if you have written post on Medium, you would see a plus icon where you can add a kind of block. So it's kind of a block editor. If you have used Notion note taking app, that's also a kind of a block based note taking app. So could you could be already familiar with block concepts. So WordPress wants to simplify things so that you don't have to learn a lot of things if you're new to WordPress. So you would see less and less shortcodes, and even meta boxes and widgets. Less widgets, less meta boxes over time, and eventually, I think it will disappear.
Thank you so much, Sayed, for answering that. This is one of my favorite one as well. And we know that we get this a lot, and always going to be the case, is what's the difference between page builders and Gutenberg, and what's the advantage of using Gutenberg over page builders? I'm sure you might have already got that a lot as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have been hearing this question a lot. For sure. Yes. So the first thing I would say is that page builders, they are actually third-party plugins that you have to install. It may be premium, so you may have to pay for it. On the other hand, Gutenberg is, or the block editor is part of WordPress, and it's free to use. And I think it's just not about being free. There is also a trust factor because it's part of WordPress, it's created by WordPress, and is backed by WordPress. So there is a huge trust factor there. Um, and also, as Mohammed Mohsin said, that WordPress powers 39% of the websites on the internet. Therefore, it has a very, large user base. So if there are any issues or bugs that cropped up with any release, there is a high chance that somebody would already have reported that, and probably it was already taken care of. Uh, However, in case of page builders, you are relying on their developers to fix it, which would be, I think, limited, not as many as the WordPress community has. Another thing I would say that performance is a factor. People have conducted tests, and they found Gutenberg to be more performant than a lot of page builders. Uh, and if you compare the code generated by Gutenberg and other page builders, you would uh, notice that Gutenberg generates less code than page builders. You would see some page builders who nest divs inside divs, which, in my opinion, is not a good practice, and it also, increases the page size to an extent. And some people say that it's also not good for SEO, though I'm not an SEO expert, but that's what some people say. But I think it's up to you. If you have been using a page builder for a long time and you are very used to it, and the new Gutenberg uh, editor does not fulfill your requirement, then I think you can stick to what you're using. Uh, but if you're starting fresh, or if it is okay to switch to Gutenberg, I think Gutenberg would be a good choice.
Thank you very much, Sayed. That was a very detailed answer. Next question is how is Gutenberg in terms of accessibility?
Well, that's a good question, and I'm glad that people are concerned about accessibility. Uh, I have been following the Gutenberg uh, project development since the beginning, and what I know is that they did not think much about accessibility in the beginning of the Gutenberg project because they might have different priorities to complete the project first, maybe. But after they made significant progress, and after people started raising issues, they started considering accessibility and started taking care of it. So Gutenberg is somewhat accessible, but not every part of the editor is accessible. Uh, but they are totally willing to make it accessible, and it's open for contribution, and people are contributing to it. So yeah, so if any of you are a developer and if you want to contribute, you can make it better, and people are making it better with every release.
Thanks, Sayed. The next question we have is that what can we expect from Gutenberg in future, and what new features will be added?
So the development of Gutenberg has been broken down into 4 phases. Phase one is editing. Phase two is customization, which is the current phase. Third is collaboration, and fourth is multilingual. So editing phase is already complete, and that's why we have the block editor landed in WordPress core. The second, which is in progress, includes block directory, block pattern. Those have also been added. I showed that in the demo. And there is one exciting feature in this customization is full site editing. It's currently available as part of the Gutenberg plugin. Uh, Actually, there are 2 ways of using Gutenberg. One is by using the default editor, Gutenberg editor, which is there in WordPress, or there is also a Gutenberg plugin. So if you want to stay ahead and you want to use the beta or latest and greatest features, you can install that plugin and take a look at it. So full site editing is basically is the feature of editing the entire site, meaning currently you can only edit the content of the page, only the portion which is between the header and the footer. But in full site editing, it will also include the header and the footer. So I mean, everything that you see on a page can be edited, including the navigation. So you can also create the navigation or edit the navigation within Gutenberg. And the third is collaboration, which is multiple co-authors can collaborate, and they can work on a single post or content. And the fourth is multilingual, which is core implementation of multilingual sites.
Great. Thank you very much for that answer, Sayed. I think we have very little time, so if you can give very
Okay.
quick, short answers to the next few questions. Do I have the option to use the old editor?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. We have a classic editor plugin. If you install that, you would have the option to, restore the previous editor.
Okay, the next question we have, are there keyboard shortcuts that we can use for Gutenberg that can make editing faster? And how is the browser support for Gutenberg?
Yes, there are plenty of keyboard shortcuts available. So if you click on the three dots, which is next to the settings gear icon on the top right of the block editor, you would see an option of keyboard shortcuts. So if you click on it, it would show you the full list of keyboard shortcuts. You can also use // as I showed you in the demo, and start typing the name of the block to insert it without touching the mouse. So they have taken care of people who do not want to touch mouse like me. They can just use keyboard and type really fast and create content. About the browser support, it has decent browser support. It works in all modern browsers and Internet Explorer 11. And they have a full list of browsers on their handbook, where you can take a look at it.
That's impressive. Yeah, thanks for that answer. So Riyaz asks, can I fully depend on Gutenberg for the best aesthetics without touching CSS? So design.
Can I fully depend on Gutenberg for best aesthetics? To an extent, I think yes. We have created websites without making a lot of changes in CSS, and it was looking good. We have also created rtcam.com website without doing a lot of CSS, with only block editor. But if you have a design in mind, or if you have a design created by some designer, I think not in that case, because you wouldn't be able to, make it pixel perfect or achieve everything that you have on the design. So to an extent, yes, but you would need some CSS, I guess.
And that's it from us. Thank you very much, Sayed, for a fantastic session and lively Q&A.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Imran.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sayed.
Yep.
So stay tuned, everyone. We'll catch up again in the next 4 minutes. Thank you very much.
Yes. Bye-bye.